everyone. Thanks for joining us. Whether it's your first time or a return time, we appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedules to give us a listen. John Carpenter was one of the first directors, I guess, that I think the three of us were probably exposed to at young ages. By the way, I'm going to segue just for a second here because this just came up today that I just found it. So John Carpenter at the Texas Frightmare Weekend 2023, and he said he's been sworn to secrecy, saying there might be a Thing 2.
Interesting.
So, and the crowd goes wild, but I'm not sure why they went wild because I don't know what story you could tell there.
It would probably be a whole new story, I would think. If I had to guess, I don't know anything about it, but a whole new thing might be interested.
Kurt Russell and Keith David are still alive, so if you could ever get those two back on screen, that's fine.
I think a whole new story all new characters would be fine with me. I'd love to see that tale told with a different. Maybe it's on a submarine or something. Whatever.
That's interesting.
Who knows?
That's funny.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're like on a submarine. I just don't. So what I don't want, and this is controversial because I like the Thing. Is it a reboot? Is it a remake? Is it that prequel? I happen to enjoy it.
I enjoyed that one too.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. I think it's got a great cast. We're not going to talk about the special effects because that's a whole other subject now.
Yeah, there's a big story about that.
Yeah, we just don't have time for that. But I enjoyed that. But again, it had the story that we already knew from the Carpenter one. So I just don't want to see a Thing 2 that's retelling the same story. Like, oh, somebody got infected. Somebody's got to get somebody else infected. Like do something else, So either an exotic locale, like Bob says, oh my God, in a submarine or something like that. It doesn't matter, but at least tell a different story. I was going to ask you guys, what is your earliest recollection of when you discovered John Carpenter?
Halloween 2, which wasn't a direct Carpenter, but he basically was spearheading that, but unwillingly, pretty much.
It.
Right, and that was my first in theater exposure, and then it got me into Halloween, which Halloween's pretty much my all-time favorite horror movie. But when we start talking about favorites for Carpenter, I kind of had to look at it in a different category, so I couldn't quite go with Halloween for my favorite one by him. And I haven't seen all of his movies, so I'm not going to lie. There's a few I haven't seen, but for the ones I'm familiar with, I went with The Thing. And I did see Halloween 2, and then I did see The Thing at the theater at the State Wayne. A friend of mine, and we went together, and that was quite I remember that to this day. It was a great.
That's right. I think that's where Jim and I saw it. So
great
experience at the same time. Yeah.
If it was
huge
playing
screen,
in town, that's where we saw it. Yeah, big glow dragons on the wall. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I'll get into that one whenever you guys want, but we'll go around the horn here and see what our first recollections are first. So Jim, I think you're next with what were your first experience?
My first Carpenter experience is probably Halloween, I'm sure. And then it just, it became, so the hook into that was like, well, Michael Myers is really cool looking. The music is undeniable, obviously. And once you'd start looking, the same guy directed it, who did the music, that's kind of cool. And then you reading enough monster magazines, it leads you to go, oh, he did this other movie before that one, which is what Marks will fall into. And and that movie played on TV, so that was on TV by the time we were discovering it. It was showing the movie Mark I was going to put a stamp on. But what's really interesting about that is when you find a director like that, or an artist or a musician, and you really start to get into them, you kind of look at things. It's like, well, what influenced that person? What is it that they liked? And when you find things like, John Carpenter really likes Howard Hawks, so okay, so you watch the original Thing from Another World, and you go, oh, that kind of, talk over talking, people cross talking each other. in a very natural sense. They cut each other off, much like we do on this podcast. And they
Get out of here.
and then they and then the Western influence that Carpenter bring. Fort Apache, I think, is really what his first movie is like a remake. You could, if you visualize that as a Western, and there were good cowboys and Indians, that's exactly what that is. But in a modern setting with a take that's really cool. So, all right, I'm going to throw it to Mark.
Unfortunately, I did not see Halloween first. That was not my first experience.
Escape, young.
Escape from New York was the one that I first remember, because that led me to Halloween 2, I think, if I remember my time frame correctly. And this is all lost to either big screen or home video, whatever we were all trying to accomplish at the time. But I'm pretty sure Jim and I didn't see Escape from New York on the big screen. I know that, but I did catch it on home video, and I just thought, at my aunt's house, right? Was that what you were about to say?
At your aunt's house, yeah. At your aunt's house, and they had cable or something, which was a big deal.
Yeah, and it was on HBO or something, and they were like, "What is this piece of shit?" And nobody was interested, but I was like, "This thing is awesome," And I use the term when it comes to Carpenter about guerrilla filmmaking, and I use it all the time, and it can mean so much, but in the simple sense, guerrilla filmmaking is making the most out of what you have none of. So you can make $100,000 movie look like $1 billion movie if you got the right, set decorators and director of photography and things like that. But so Escape from New York being my introduction from him, and of course that was the first anti-hero that I ever got to know. I was like, well, Snake Plissken's a bad guy, right? Like, he's a bad guy, but we're rooting for him. I was conflicted in my youth with my feelings, because I was like, I don't understand. How am I supposed to root for the bad guy, And he's threatening other people, and I don't get it and stuff. But that anti-hero thing, that I was like, oh, that's really cool. And I thought, honestly, this is where this is going to come in. I really thought I had loved that movie forever. I mean, if I could ever find pictures, but I even dressed as Snake Plissken for Halloween one time as a young kid, not as an older kid, but it was really good. Until, like Bob just said, where you start to go, and having no internet, we couldn't really find, what other movies did he do? Who would...
couldn't look it up immediately.
Yeah, you had I don't know where you would go.
Library or some kind of magazine or
but if it didn't say a list of this and stuff, and I remember Dark Star, that was mentioned a lot because that was that science fiction vibe, and he kind of had that science fiction vibe. The Thing gets a science fiction vibe. Escape from New York kind of has a science fiction vibe, that kind of thing. But he did a movie called Assault on Precinct 13, and I think that was his second one, might have been third. I'm not sure. I don't know if we count the Elvis movie in there.
TV movie.
Yeah, with Kurt Russell. I'm not sure if we count that one. But this weekend, me and my daughter and I just rewatched Assault on Precinct 13. And I am still blown away at how much it holds up. Some of the dialogue can be I don't know if they'd say that in that situation. Yeah. But it's just holds up. And one of the things I remember I was telling my wife, and she's like, well, what's the big deal about this and stuff? I said, well, one of the things is it broke one of the cardinal rules, which is in film, you don't kill kids and you don't kill animals. You don't show that stuff. Well, I don't know. Carpenter must have been like, fuck it, I don't care, because that a young Kim Richards, gets shot, blown away in the throat. And it's right there on screen. But just the sound quality of that movie, if you ever do get a chance, just go back and watch the opening 5 minutes with those dudes in the alleyway getting blown away by those shotguns. Turn your sound up, man. That it might not be Dolby Atmos, but holy cow, it's got some sound to it. So
I mean, I think it is in the works to get a release on 4K pretty soon. I think I read that in the next, probably by the end of summer, maybe in the fall, maybe.
Wow, dude,
that's going to be a good one.
That would be great. I just, I want to say this about John Carpenter since we're talking about him. His early work, has there ever been another director that seemed to have peaked when he first starts? Because most directors they go and they hit the sweet spot. You go into that golden era. It's like, oh man, he's getting better and better. Your Michael Manns and stuff like that. And I don't know, Carpenter peaked like his first 5 films. And
So how would you compare that to Spielberg at all, or Spielberg hit it pretty big for
oh my god,
5, 6, 7 years?
Dude, he might be a rarity though. I mean, that guy for a while there, his was all gold.
Yeah, everything he touched turned to gold. So we get to like Hook and stuff like that.
That's what I mean. Late 80s.
That's
sorry, Nikki.
Yeah. Oh my God, she loves that movie, man. She's coming after you now.
But she would have seen it. A caveat in my defense: she would have seen it at the right age.
Yeah.
So,
that's the thing that I don't get. I don't think
it sounds great on paper.
Yeah. I question it. We watch it every now and then, and I'll still ask the questions. She explains it away, but you can tell it's from a certain point of view. You know what I mean? Like you have the filter of the eyes. But like when I'm young, watching Kurt Russell just shoot up a bunch of people, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if that's the right age for that. Like I don't get it. Like Bob loving Halloween so much. First of all, folks, this dude, he loves Halloween.
If we could pan the camera to Bob's immediate left, there's a Michael Myers
masks.
Yeah, dude. Take a picture of your masks and put those up online on the Facebook page, dude. Yeah. Like, this dude loves Halloween. Like, y'all find a really weird VHS copy at the store. He's like, oh, man, get that for me. Like,
definitely a collector of Halloween.
But it's funny because that's a huge influence on you in that field, like of collecting and stuff like that. But you're like, oh, but I love the thing. I mean, I totally get it. You know what I mean?
Right. It's all in criteria of it. But the thing with Carpenter that I enjoy the most is I get a feeling watching his films.
Right.
And like Jim said, it has a lot to do with him doing the music. The music is just as much as the artful photography, and we could talk about his favorite cinema photographer there. That's been on many of his early films that share out that go across all of them. Dean Cundy, he's on all of the ones we like.
Yeah,
so there's got to be some kind of connection.
That's a secret ingredient, right?
But but there's an atmosphere and kind of the anticipation of things that he is really good at. Even in Christine, I had seen that recently, and it holds up. And it's just this kind of letting things happen in a slow way. It's not all edit. I get the feelings of what he's trying to show on the screen.
It has a really good sense of story pacing.
And then his characters are good too, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Arguably, though, like I know at Bob, what was it? Not last Halloween, the year before, we went to see Halloween. And, I mean, after you watch it about 4,000 times, you're kind of like, you can see people get restless in the seats because you don't have that suspense no more because we already know what's to come. So the pacing in Halloween works phenomenally well if nobody's ever seen it before. You know what I mean? Like,
if you haven't seen it in a while.
In a while, yeah. The same thing. Same thing can be said with The Thing, too, because that's kind of a slow burn, I mean, it's got these moments where it's like, oh, shit. But then it's a slow burn,
The thing that gets me with the reason I picked The Thing is because of the camaraderie with the cast.
Oh, yeah.
I just love the fact that they could have been on a spaceship. They could have been anywhere. Like I said, submarine. It's a closed environment, and it feels a bit like you do when you see Alien, that these people are trapped in this surrounding.
Right.
Yep.
And you're just like, well, how they can't get out, so they got to do something. They got to fight it. They got to figure out how to fight it. So I love that kind of like just the pressure cooker is just turning up, and it's. I just find that I just get into that a lot when I watch that movie. And then the music just kind of plays under. If I hear that music, I know exactly what I'm supposed to feel.
Carpenter does really assemble very good casts in almost all of his stuff.
The guys are the actors and
I like
great.
And I like the fact that he likes to reuse actors and actresses. Like in The Fog, you'll notice there's just for a quick second, They're at the hospital when they find these dead bodies on a boat, and like the doctor or the mortician that's
In the hallway.
Darwin Johnson.
Darwin Johnson, yeah. Napoleon Wilson from Assault on Precinct 13.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
pops
he
in there
plays
just
the
for a quick
doctor.
second.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. He's got really good dialogue in that 3 seconds. Like, it's just good dialogue that they're talking about. You know, I saw him last week, and he looks like he's been underwater for a month, you know?
Yeah, it
Really
tells you a
good
lot.
dialogue. Yeah, I really like that. Jesus, dude, I forgot about the fog.
That's what I mean. When we rank these, it's like 1A, 1B, 1C, 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're so close in how we feel about them. It's just
Well, I do think he peaked early. I think he had the good stories he wanted to tell. I think arguably people are going to say Halloween was his best ever, but that's like coming out the gate swinging. But it really wasn't. It's just his largest theatrical release because Assault predates that by a couple of years, 2 years maybe one. But you know, I thought that showed great promise too. The characters and the dialogue, like you say. And he did his own music for that. So that's really good. And there's 3 people in that movie. There's 2 or 3 that are reused throughout, you know, Charles Cyphers, who would go on to be the weatherman in the fog. He would be in
Sheriff in Halloween.
Yep. And Lori, one of the receptionists, goes on to play, I think her name's Nancy in Halloween. I'm not sure. She's one that gets strangled in the car.
Oh, Nancy Loomis.
Nancy Loomis is her name. I don't know the character she plays, though. Annie? Is that what it is? Annie. Yeah.
Annie Brackett.
Yeah, she's also
Sheriff Brackett.
Escape from New York. She's the terrorist on the plane on the People's Liberation
That's right.
Army of.
Dang. Forgot about that.
I forgot about that one, yeah. Rumor has it Donald Pleasance was eyed to play the Wilford Brimley role in The Thing, but for something, I don't know if he didn't want it or what was what, but, you know. Fun story really quick, though. There was an article a couple of years ago before Wilford Brimley passed away, and say something happened in Antarctica. I don't know if you guys remember this, because for an older guy, he was all over Twitter. Like in his later years, he's all over Twitter. Something happened in Antarctica. They discovered something, and he actually tweeted out, "Oh my God, it's happening!" Like it was really funny at the time. What a great sense of humor to do that. You know what I mean? And speaking of your music, Bob, it's interesting that Ennio Morricone did the music for The Thing, so it was not Carpenter that did his own. And I wonder why that is.
I heard something recently that Carpenter sent him some stuff and said, kind of like this vibe. And then Morricone sent stuff back, and Carpenter was like, all right, I'm going to keep this one piece, but I'm going to keep my other vibe track on that. So I don't know if that's true or not. I guess
that Morricone stuff from The Thing, there's a bunch of outtakes that got used in Django Unchained. Did you know that?
I heard something about that. Yeah. Tarantino used the unused score for The Thing in Django Unchained.
In his. Okay.
In his.
Wow, that's interesting, man.
Yeah, that's a cool fact I kind of stumbled on. I didn't want to breeze over the fact that Deborah Hill did a lot of the screenwriting.
That's another secret ingredient, too.
Yeah, she was tremendous. She did all the teenager dialogue and script in the script for Halloween because she knew the vibe of the girls of that time period.
It's a secret sauce for sure.
Yeah, and it's sad that she passed away at an early age. You know, that's a sad thing.
But the only thing I don't like is that in later years, and I guess if you're that guy, you know, I'm not trying to breeze over all this, but like he just lends his name to everything now. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's one of those things where he's written a lot, and you know, I didn't watch the remake of Assault on Precinct 13. I didn't need to.
Oh my God! Don't.
Okay, I didn't need to, but I also go, oh, okay. Well, John Carpenter's getting a fat check from that, so that's good.
Yeah,
you know, didn't he write those prison or Schwarzenegger prison movies or something? They stole the script from those things with him and Stallone in space or something like that.
Yeah. Well, there's also there's a Guy Pearce movie that he's a criminal and he's got to be sent to outer space to rescue like the president's daughter or something.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, Yeah, it's bizarre, but I think they got sued for that too because Carpenter was like, "That's my movie, dude. What are you doing?"
Escape from New York, right? Yeah,
So,
Escape from
but
Hell.
yeah, but that's the weird thing because like the dude's putting his name on everything, so it's like let somebody else make a movie. You know, I mean, who cares at this point? You got
Haven't gotten a Western out of them yet, so I don't think that's ever going to happen.
We won't. I don't think we're going to.
How long have you heard about Hell Dorado?
Yeah, I know, but so the Rio Bravo movie is that was Assault on Precinct 13.
That's it, Rio Bravo.
That's what he wants to do, Rio Bravo. So that's obviously Howard Hawks, like you mentioned. That was a huge influence. I just don't understand. So that's my one question, by the way, for Carpenter. You're so influenced by the Golden Age directors, including Howard Hawks. Why didn't you just make a Western? Like a real Western? You know?
Because at the time they were out of fashion. They come and go in cycles.
Guess. Do you guys ever see Ghost of Mars?
Sadly, I saw Ghost of Mars. Yeah.
Ghost of Mars is the third Escape from New York film. They had to change it because Ice Cube's character is Snake Plissken, but they had to.
I'll have to watch it. Is it any better if you know that?
No, not really. Sorry, but it's not a bad movie because it's actually got some named people in it that you're like, oh wow, there's a young Jason Statham, you know.
Pam Grier's in that.
Yeah, Pam Grier's in it too and stuff. Pam Grier's also in Escape from L.A.
Is she?
And I think she plays a transgender person.
Yes, that is correct.
I think that's what it is and stuff.
Jim, did you say what your favorite one? I don't think we ever delved into it, did we?
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Did I? Oh, my favorite. Man, I really like Starman. That's a good movie, but it's not my favorite. It's a good movie because it's really out of the box for Carpenter.
Yep,
it's very different. It's got Kieran Allen, which is a super bonus for me. So
it's a winner right there. Yeah.
It's got a great musical score that he didn't do. Some other guys did it. It's got
I thought that was him.
Yeah.
Okay.
These two other guys worked on it. But for our household, it's Big Trouble in Little China. So,
yes.
Which is, I mean, that's a podcast all by itself, so I'm not going to get too deep into that. And that is somehow oddly, weirdly connected to the Buckaroo Banzai universe.
Really? I didn't know that.
Because the one of the, is it the Rinsler? Is that the guy? No, I'm trying to think of the author's name. I thought at one point they were talking about a sequel to Buckaroo Banzai, and they were going to have him. They were going to meet up with Kurt at the truck stop, and just give him a pass.
Oh my God, that's crazy!
And they were just, whether it be a cameo or not, and he would be like, "Oh, I'm a Blue Blaze regular, Kurt Russell or Jack Burton," but you could see that character dropping in that group. Yeah. If you put him in that group walk at the end of Buckaroo Banzai, he fits perfectly in there.
Now, Bob, you never saw Buckaroo Banzai, right? That's one that you haven't seen?
No, that was a video when I worked at the video store those days, and I did not get a chance to watch that one.
We'll put it in the queue. It is...
I got to put that one, too.
The composer for that was Jack Nietzsche, so that's the Starman composer.
Oh, okay.
I like Buckaroo Banzai. Jim, you turned me on to that back in the day. So
Yeah. I went to the very first convention I went to. They were hyping it out. It was like a Starlog Fangoria convention. And they were passing out like bandanas that said Team Banzai. And it was just really weird.
Oh, nice.
It's like an 80s version of the Doc Savage, who was a guy who could do anything and everything. Like Buckaroo Banzai is a... Yeah, I'm not going to get into Buckaroo Banzai because we'll go off on a tangent. And let's go back to Carpenter. Big Trouble in Little China. It's one of those great movies that drops you in right at the get-go and doesn't care if you're paying attention. It's just going. It's going and it's going and it's going. You immediately believe that, Jack and Wang Chi have this long-time friendship. Chinatown is, even though I don't think they shot it in Chinatown except for a couple exteriors, is very real. When I went to San Francisco, I was a little disappointed that Chinatown wasn't like that. But I did get my picture taken in front of the gates doing this, so I just want you to know that I did that. So
nice. It's almost like everything he learned he put into that movie.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
It came out. It came out the same summer with partial of the same cast as The Golden Child,
Oh
which was
wow!
also
Oh,
another
okay.
8, because Egg Shen and Lo Pan are both in The Golden Child.
Right. Yeah, but the
And,
Golden Child.
and those guys were like, and they were kind of singing the. I think I read an interview with James Hong back before he was Oscar award winning James Hong. That he was just talking about, yeah, we did this other movie, and this other movie kind of has more of the feel of the Orient. That's a little, of course, because he's the star of it, right? So,
Right.
and I did get to meet him at one of those comic conventions at
No
Motor
shit.
City, and I got him to sign.
Nice.
I got him to sign a one sheet. So, for
No
Good Film.
shit.
Yeah,
That's awesome, dude.
so that was
Wow.
pretty cool. And he was
Yeah.
super nice guy. He's got a long and storied career. He's in like everything. I watch you turn stuff on. I'm like, oh, James Hong's in this. You know, he's in it for 2 seconds. Or he's like, just
Yeah,
like,
wow.
what did I watch the other day? Oh, I watched Chinatown. Of course, he's in Chinatown the other day.
Right.
I finally caught that, and he was in there for a half a second. So,
Well, the thing is about like Big Trouble in Little China, like that's different from anything. Like
yeah, it's completely different
it's-
than anything he's
it's
done.
not his horror movies, it's not his sci-fi, but it's got. I
It's
mean,
like an action
it's-
fantasy film.
yeah, but it's got blending of a western with the anti-hero, and it's got kung fu from martial arts movies, and it's
Right.
got some weird fantasy sci-fi stuff and wizards or wherever he's supposed to be, and and it's got action with guns. Like some dudes are just shooting each other up. Like I can't even explain that movie. It's almost like I know this is going to be a weird thing, but like that's the vibe I was getting with Everywhere, Anything, All at Once. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like its roots could be in that a little bit. You know what I mean? That kind of.
You could see it like a Blazing Saddles where they punch the wall down and all of a sudden this other movie's going on right next door to it, right?
Yeah. So let me. I think we did made some really good points, said some really good things. So what do you guys think about him now in going in? Because he mostly does just music concerts with his son. He doesn't do movies anymore with.
Yeah. I like the fact that he's kind of, it's like a victory lap when he's showing up at conventions. That Texas Frightmare stuff looked like a ball.
Yeah,
And they had
yeah,
a
looked like
bunch
having
of
fun.
they had a bunch of Thing cast members there too.
Oh wow! Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and somebody was going around, and the great thing that they had autographed is they had a stack of them they had collected. They had petri dishes with white tape, and they'd have the actors sign their name on the white tape, and then put the
Oh
next to it.
man, that's.
And I'm
so
like, that is a
cool.
fantastic collectible.
That's so cool. I swear. You know what? If you guys are watching online, we talk about Michael Biehn, and they got that 30th anniversary of Tombstone coming up, and they're getting all these people together to take photos and stuff. I've never seen anything for the Thing. Like, I never see those guys together get a photo op together.
Oh, there was a few years ago. There was like a Thing Fest for a hot second, and I'm trying to remember where
Oh,
it was
wow.
at. Yeah, and they like Keith David was at that one.
Well, he'd be the guy I really want to talk to. I think he's the standout of that movie. Like he's really the one that he got a lot of the best lines, and no offense to Kurt Russell, sorry Kurt, but like Kurt Russell has your generic kind of I'm your everyman, and I'm going to go through it. But like Keith David's arc in that movie is very because he's got moments where he's just really wigging out, which I really like.
Right.
You know what
It's
I
kind of
mean?
the right hand man to some degree.
Right.
You know what would have been a great flip of that movie is if all of a sudden Kurt Russell turned out to be the Thing and Keith David turned out to be our hero. And he had to take Kurt Russell out.
That was great. All right. Well, everyone, thanks for joining us. I don't know who takes us out. Usually Bob does.
I just say follow us at the Fandom Outpost on social media and everywhere you get your podcasts.
All right. Thanks for
everyone.
joining us, folks. And again, we always appreciate Nikki for being our awesome producer to make us look better than we are.
Producer Nikki, thumbs up.
All right,
All right,
gentlemen, as
everybody.
always, it's fun getting together with you guys and stuff. So we'll pick it up next time.